When you first boot up Dragon Age Veilguard, one of the hardest choices you're going to have to make is which background you are going to choose. Now, during the Veilguard capture event, I was able to get some exclusive information, so let's go over each of the backgrounds in full so you know which one to choose for your Rook. Now, as a warning, I will be showing footage and information from the character creator only, so if you don't want to see 1 single second of the game before launch, then unfortunately this video is not for you. If you're okay with some character creator spoilers, then this is good to go. Now, longtime Dragon Age fans will notice that I have withheld the default first names for Rook. Sort of. See, unlike past games where each origin or race has a default name, Veilguard instead chooses to randomize the first name. Here are just a few of the names that I generated with my time in the character creator. Now, a question I see all the time is if you can choose to be a Dalish elf, loyal to the Qun Qunari, or is the dwarf exiled or a surfacer by birth? Now, frankly, the answer to this is actually a bit complicated. As you will see, there are some backgrounds where your past is locked to a certain upbringing, basically being what I would describe as a human commoner experience for anybody. However, there are backgrounds where your past is a bit more open. In those cases, the game has voice options where you can choose lines that indicate being raised in those various upbringings. Now, at this time, the only one I have personally seen was being a Veiljumper and being able to speak about being a Dalish elf if I wanted to. But I wouldn't be surprised if other backgrounds had similar features. That said, in the character creator, any elf of any faction can wear Valis Sleen. The game also shows you what the default casual wear for Rook will be per your background. While they can be changed in the game, the outfits you see my Qunari wearing will be your starting casual outfit. And if you are curious, my Qunari has the largest body type I could make, both in terms of height and weight. The Grey Wardens. The Grey Wardens are a staple to the Dragon Age series. This ancient military order is devoted to stopping the Blights and defeating the Darkspawn no matter the cost. Because of how important this duty is to Thetis, the Warden title earns honor and respect. Historically, the Grey Wardens are thought of as heroes who have saved the world with each Blight. In legends, they used to ride on the backs of griffins, and while the animals sadly went extinct during the 4th Blight, they still serve as a mascot for the Order. That said, there are rumors of a clutch of griffin eggs being discovered by a young Warden recruit, hidden away by a passionate Warden centuries ago. Despite the respect and honor the title of Warden receives, life is far from easy. All who join the Wardens must undergo the Joining, a ritual where they must drink the blood of Darkspawn and become willingly blighted. While the blood has been magically altered to allow the blight to spread much more slowly through the person, allowing a lifespan of decades rather than days, not all survive this process, with many dying on the spot. Of those that survive, they do gain some heightened abilities, like more stamina and strength. The last blight ended in 931 Dragon, about 20 years before the start of Veilguard. However, things have not been easy for the Order. In 941 Dragon, Corypheus was able to manipulate and control almost the entire Order located in southern Thetis. While the Inquisition was able to break them free from Venatori manipulations, their name was sullied, with some infighting breaking out within the Order after the chains of command broke down. The Wardens take anyone who wishes to fight into the ranks. To date, we have not actually seen a Qunari Warden in any of the extended media, but that speaks more to how rare they are in Thetis rather than their allowance into the Wardens. With this faction, you are Thorn. During a large Darkspawn attack, you were ordered to hold the line with a group of Wardens. However, you argued that by the time reinforcements arrived, a nearby village would be dead. You disobeyed orders, leading your squad to steal the tunnel where the Darkspawn were rising from and save the villagers. While your heroism was popular amongst the lower-ranked Wardens, those with connection to noble families resented your independent streak. So you chose to adventure away while tempers cooled. In-game, choosing this faction allows you to gain reputation with the Wardens more quickly, deal increased damage against Darkspawn, and your base defense and health are increased. Veiljumpers. The Veiljumpers are a group dedicated to trying to find solutions to the unusual magical disturbances of the Arlathan Forest. They explore ancient elven ruins, find artifacts, and uncover knowledge lost from the time of the Empire of Elvenon. Taking requests for help from anyone near the Arlathan Forest, they have banded together to solve magical disturbances in the forest left by the war between the Tevinter Imperium and the crumbling Empire of Elvenon, and even just remnants of Arlathan itself. While many magical objects have laid dormant for centuries, the recent disturbances in the Veil have caused them to reactivate in strange and deadly ways. We don't know many of the finer details of this faction at this point, but they seem to be mostly comprised of Dalish elves who took an interest in their history. However, there is plenty of non-elves as seen in the comic The Missing. As long as you're willing to run headfirst into strange magical mishaps, they're going to take you. You also don't need to be a mage either, as seen with one of the more prominent members, Strife, being not magically gifted at all. With this faction, you are Aldweir. During an expedition into an elven ruin, the Jumpers found an important piece of lost lore and a deadly danger. You and your team barely escaped the ancient traps, but recovered an invaluable map leading to a hidden area of the forest. But while your team escaped, other Jumpers found themselves trapped. You chose to return to the ruins, saving lives but losing the map. While you were rejoiced for your bravery, the loss of the map led to resentment amongst the Veil Jumpers' leaders. In-game, choosing this faction allows you to gain reputation with the Veil Jumpers more quickly, deal increased damage against Fade Touched, and you deal increased critical and weak point damage. Shadow Dragons. The Shadow Dragons are an underground resistance group in the Deventer Imperium. Their goal is to bring Deventer into a better future, one where inhabitants of the Imperium are equal. To them, this means the abolishment of slavery, making mage and non-mage citizens equal, and bringing the ethics of Deventer a little closer to some of the other nations in Thedas. They are basically the exact opposite of the Venatori, another political faction in Thedas that aim to drag Deventer back to its roots in a mage-run society that is largely supported by slavery and open use of blood magic. As of right now, Deventer sits in the middle of these two ideologies, with slavery still legal and mages still ruling like the Venatori wish, but with ethical limits on blood magic and non-mages holding some political power. Being based out of Deventer, this faction would likely lean towards humans and elves, but dwarves do have a prominent presence in Minrathous. Qunari are also possible, but would be highly looked down upon in the Imperium due to the centuries-long war Deventer has with the Qunari. Elves too would likely come from a background of slavery or at the very least poverty. Mages are well favored in Deventer, but there are plenty of non-mage citizens as well. With this faction, you are Merkar. You were adopted into a military family in Deventer and joined the Shadow Dragons to change Minrathous from the shadows. While you were guarding a visiting dignitary who was investigating a slavery ring in the city of Nessus, you realized that the mission would fail if you didn't take a few risks. Alone, you guided this dignitary into Venatori-controlled zones and brought him back with the rescued slaves. While the mission was a success, it brought Rook to the attention of the Venatori, so the dragons decided to keep Rook out of sight. Now, side note, I do believe Nessus is a typo left in from an early build of the game, so this is likely Nessum, notably featured in Dragon Age Absolution and where the Deventer Summer Palace is located. In-game, choosing this faction allows you to gain reputation with the Shadow Dragons more quickly, deal increased damage against Venatori, and your class-specific resources, like mana, regenerates faster. Lords of Fortune. The Lords of Fortune are a treasure hunting guild, however they do have ethical standards. While they are up for grand heists for nobles, jewels, and coin, they also work in tandem with groups of elves and dwarves to help them reclaim their lost history. They are described as chaotic good pirates who are also willing to take potshots at the Qunari military when able. The Lords are based out of Ravain, a nation known for its large population of Qunari and largely absent government. While Ravain does have some chantry presence, many here cling to local traditions and live in matriarchal societies. The Lords take any who are willing to work, so any lineage and class are equally viable. This guild also likely has the largest population of Qunari within their ranks, as Ravain has a number of Qunari settlements within its borders. With this faction, you are Ladir. You were a rising member of the Lords, skilled at breaking into lost tombs and ruins. A Ravani noble tasked you with gathering a dangerous artifact, but after being double-crossed, you killed the noble, saved the lives of your expedition members, and prevented the artifact from falling into Venatori hands by destroying it. Unfortunately, the mission required the Ravani authorities to look the other way, and with the noble's death, you needed to step away from the Lords while things calmed down a bit. In-game, choosing this faction allows you to gain reputation with the Lords of Fortune more quickly, deal increased damage against mercenaries, and you are able to perform takedowns easier. Mourn Watch. The Mourn Watch is an order within the Mortalitassi, a mage group located in Navarra. Mortalitassi are responsible for administering the unique funerary rites and beliefs that the nation has. Unlike the rest of Thedas, Navarra believes that when a person dies, once their soul crosses the veil into the Fade, they displace the spirit into the waking world. So they usher in the spirit to the corpse of the deceased and entomb it into the Grand Necropolis, a giant mausoleum believed to be a city of the dead itself. The Mourn Watch are tasked with guarding and keeping the Grand Necropolis, a task that ranges from keeping the spirits calm to dealing with dangerous magical abnormalities harming those inside. While the Mortalitassi is a mage order, non-mages are hired for various aspects of keeping the necropolis in order as well. Humans and elves would be the most common lineage inside Navarra, but dwarves and Qunari are not impossible either. With this faction, you are Ingolvar. As an infant, you were found inside a tomb within the Grand Necropolis and discovered by the undead. Raised by necromancers of the Mourn Watch, you eventually join the order yourself. During a sort of civil war within a necropolis between two undead nobility, now referred to as the War of the Banners, you led a daring attack to destroy the leaders of the two sides. While you succeeded, ending the war and saving lives, your destruction of the nobles was controversial, and some of the Order feared that you had offended important patrons, so they encouraged you to travel for a while. In-game, choosing this faction allows you to gain reputation with the Mourn Watchers more quickly, deal increased damage against undead and demons, and you are able to apply an additional affliction stack on targets. Antivan Crows. Despite being based out of the northern nation of Antiva, the Crows are well known across Thedas as the elite assassins guild. While the guild actually started as a branch of chantry monks who grew poisonous herbs, it has now spun out to be the largest business in Antiva. The Crows live and die by their reputation. Once a contract is secured with a member of the guild, they either execute their mark or are killed themselves. In general, the Crows consist of a number of assassin houses, families made of both biological and adoptive members. Houses often recruit orphaned and enslaved youths and train them from a young age, with many of those enduring the brutal training often dying trying to reach the status of full-fledged assassin. The top 8 houses are known as the Talons, with House Della Morte currently ranking in as first Talon. While the Crows do not officially rule Antiva, they do hold more power than the king. So when the Qunari invaded the nation and took control over large swaths of land, the Crows have not been idle in defending their homeland. Elves were the most common recruits, and there are a large number of humans as well, given that they fit almost anywhere in Thedas. However, dwarves and Qunari would be needed as well. While historically most of the Crows would fit into the category of rogue, there have been well-known mages within the ranks, and warriors likely wouldn't have been turned away either. With this faction, you are Deriva, a member of the 5th Talon. You are a talented new Crow recently promoted to full membership. However, Treviso is under occupation from the Qunari and Tom. One night, you saw a patrol leading along captives and took action. While you saved the lives of those held captive, you unknowingly compromised a larger resistance operation by the Crows. Your superiors were outraged and you were sidelined for your actions. Instead of sitting idly by, however, you search for new ways to prove yourself. In-game, choosing this faction allows you to gain reputation with the Crows more quickly, deal increased damage against the Qunari and Tom, and you are able to hold an extra potion. And that's all I have for now. While I know many of you are so hungry for more character creation options, I do need to space out my videos a bit, so that will come next. If you are new to Dragon Age or need a refresher to the series, please check out my Dragon Age 101 or Dragon Age 201 playlist link below. I also have a good handful of videos lined up from the capture event that will be posted in the next couple days, so I do look forward to seeing you again here. Until next time, Terrestrial.